What's up, guys? It's your boy Zowoki back with another of the Chris Watts videos. And this Jezebel is blowing up exponentially, with Chris Watts stating that and blaming his former mistress. What is going to be done? What is anything going to be done? I'm not quite sure, but I'm hoping with the future of, or within the future, we see something being done and Nicole brought in. Who knows what's to say if she ever does come back in. But you guys have been blowing me up about this one video, Chris Watts, Jezebel Made Me Do It, from the channel of HD Tutor, Knowing the Narcissist. I've never watched this YouTube channel, so I'm just going to promote their YouTube channel because I like to help out. So make sure you guys go over to their channel, give them some love, do the things, subscribe, comment, like, and share. I want to get into this to see what it says. We're also going to take a look at the full letter that was sent to Dylan Talman. Somebody sent it to me. If they want credit for it, I can definitely give it to you guys down in the comments. I don't want to say it on here just for security reasons or protection of them. But with that being said, before we go any further, if you guys could do me a solid favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting that wiper icon down the bottom right, hit that bell icon next to it, so I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that's Woki myself has posted that video. Then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, I thank you guys so very much for that love and support, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. With that being said, let's get into this. Knowing the Narcissist, Chris Watts, Jezebel Made Me Do It. Let's take a look.
Chris Watts, Jezebel Made Me Do It.
Almost like the devil made me do it, but it's just the Jezebel. Doesn't it sound like the same thing?
Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor.
Hello, H.G.
Many
Tudor.
of you will be familiar with the individual that is Chris Watts. For those of you that are not, in the early hours of August the 13th, 2018, in Frederick, Colorado, American oil field operator Christopher Watts murdered his pregnant wife, Shannon, by strangulation, and their two children, aged 4 and 3, by smothering them. He buried Shannon in a shallow grave near an oil storage facility and dumped his children's bodies into crude oil tanks.
He should honestly get the same thing. Buried for a little bit, see how he enjoys it, put him in an oil tank, see if he survives. You know, do what an eye for an eye kind of thing.
Watts initially maintained his innocence in his family's disappearance, but was arrested on August the 15th after confessing in an interview with detectives to murdering Shannon.
I always think, too, what would happen if he did not confess? Like, what if he asked for a lawyer? Would they have gone more into depth with Nicole? Because they literally stopped everything after Chris confessed. The DA set a deal for him. He should never got a deal to begin with, which was not to go for the death penalty. I mean, the death penalty is not even in Colorado anymore to begin with, or anymore. But it's the fact that this man is enjoying his life. Yeah, okay, it's in prison. He might not be enjoying it as much as you and I think. He might be having a terrible time. But he's been dating. He's been talking to women. We heard from an Anna yesterday, a Katie, which we're going to look into here very soon for different videos in the future. So it's just more or less that this man gets to strive on, while, and including Nicole, while Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, yes, think they're probably in the heavens and looking down on their family, but they didn't get a chance at life, to grow up, to have children of Bella and Celeste, having their own families, having their own children, Chris and Shanann becoming grandparents. They're never going to be able to get that chance because of this guy. And, in my opinion, again, Nicole Kessinger. So.
He later admitted to murdering his children. On November 6, 2018, Watts pleaded guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder as part of a plea deal when the death penalty was removed from sentencing. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of
84
parole,
years.
3 to be served consecutively. At the time, I wrote a blog article explaining his narcissism, and that later became the basis of a video, which you can watch, which was released in November 2020. All you need do is go to the A Very playlist, and you'll find it there, or you can search amongst my videos if you look for H.G. Tudor, Chris Watts, A Very Dangerous Narcissist. Thus, I determined that Watts was a narcissist, and some recent news that has emerged in relation to him provides a further opportunity to explain more about his behaviours and also about narcissism with regard to the way that a narcissist conducts himself. An article by Steve Helling in the New York Post tells us, "Killer dad Chris Watts is now blaming Jezebel mistress for his decision to brutally murder his wife and little girls." Killer dad Chris Watts is blaming his former mistress for his decision to brutally murder his wife and two little girls. And
that's the thing. What's going to get complicated is if they keep saying he's blaming Nicole Kessinger for making his decision. That's pretty much like a persuasion, don't you think? Kind of like I keep bringing it up, but it's close. It has close similarities that Gypsy Rose persuaded her ex-boyfriend to murdering her mother. So could it be that Nicole Kessinger persuaded him into coercing, but acting out these crimes of annihilation of the family so that she can get what she wants?
only refers to her as Jezebel. The Post has obtained several handwritten notes from the 39-year-old Watts, who is serving a life sentence in a small cell at Dodge Correctional Institution. Now, pausing there. First of all, Watts had a mistress. So he was cheating on his wife, which is part of his narcissism. Not every person that cheats is a narcissist, far from it. But having established that he is a narcissist,
Oh yeah,
his cheating was based upon his sense
So was Nicole Kessinger.
of entitlement, his lack of emotional empathy for his wife, his lack of emotional empathy for his mistress. The fact that he had no sense of accountability to conduct himself in a way that would show fidelity. It was a means by which he could assert control over his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, and it enabled him, of course, to draw fuel from her. His wife was in the sustained devaluation, and that meant, therefore, that, in effect, his narcissism gave him the green light to cheat. This is what happens during sustained devaluation. It doesn't automatically mean that the individual is going to cheat. What it does mean is that during the golden period, the narcissist won't cheat because the person that they're with is painted white. They're seen as this wonderful individual with a golden glow around them. And in effect, the narcissism wants the narcissist to treat that person well so that they get them under control through benign manipulations.
Like Nicole did.
However, when that person, who is the intimate partner primary source, enters a sustained devaluation, as they always will, they become painted black. And essentially the narcissism says, it doesn't matter if you go and see somebody else, this person has let you down. If we were to put it in legal terms, it's effectively saying that the other person has committed a repudiatory breach of contract, allowing you to walk away from the contract without any kind of penalty. Thus, in the mind of the narcissist, driven by that person's narcissism, they see the other person, their spouse, their boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., as an individual who has in effect let them down. And in the circumstances, what that then means is that they are perfectly allowed to go off and sleep with somebody else for the purposes of asserting control over them. The narcissism sees no problem with them doing that. And it's the same here with Chris Watts. His narcissism allowed him to take a mistress. However, it doesn't just end there. During the sustained devaluation, his wife, who he killed, is painted black.
The black sheep.
His mistress, Nicole Kessinger,
The golden sheep.
is painted white. But then, as time passes, his mistress has become painted black because that is the base.
Hold on. What if it could be that now the mistress is painted black because he has a new white sheep? This Anna or Katie. Could that be why? I don't know. I just thought about it. I wanted to let you guys know.
Basis for him then blaming her. That she was the intimate partner, secondary source affair partner. And I understand that then, of course, she would be painted white as he interacted with her, but thereafter, because nothing can ever be the fault
of a narcissist,
this results in the narcissist blame shifting. Accordingly, it wasn't him that was the motivation for killing his wife and his children. It was his mistress's fault. And she became painted black and found herself being made the scapegoat for his activity. The blame.
So is he trying to do this blame game now as a last resort to possibly get out of prison? I mean, he's not going to get out of prison regardless because he murdered Shanann and Nico. We know for certainty that he did. We're still up in the air, or at least I am, about the girls being murdered by either Chris or Nicole. But again, is he using this as a scapegoat tactic to be like, oh, I only murdered my wife and kid, Nico, but Nicole did it because she wanted us to be together so she can share in the blame game, and then he feels a little bit better about himself, is what I think I'm getting at.
Is placed upon her. In a letter written back in March 2020, which only appears to have seen the light of day recently, Watts wrote a prayer of confession. The words of a harlot, smearing, have brought me low, he wrote. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Little did I know that all her guests were in the chamber of death. How did I let this happen, he continued. The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and I still followed the perfume of a strange woman. This is typical behavior of the narcissist, a complete failure to take account for his own behavior, a failure to take account for cheating on his wife, a failure to take account for the fact that he killed his wife and his children. Nobody else did. He did. It's often the case that you'll find with a narcissist that they will cheat on the intimate partner primary source. They will have an affair. At that point, the spouse is painted black, the affair partner is painted white.
Mm-hmm.
It may well be the case that disengagement follows, so the narcissist leaves their partner and goes off with the other man or the other woman. They become the intimate partner primary source. And of course, as night follows day, and the fact that we're all going to die at some point, that person will enter sustained devaluation. And then they become painted black. This sometimes increases the prospect of the former intimate partner primary source being hoovered, because then they suddenly become painted white. But then what happens is that typically the narcissist, in attempting to hoover back the person that they left behind, will say, oh, she poured honeyed words in my ears. I had my head turned. I took leave of my senses. It was her that pulled me away from you, darling. I didn't realize what was going on, but I was conned. I was manipulated.
Or like how he sat there and said, I should have gone to the game because Nicole brought me to my knees, and that honey voice or whatever, what did he say in this? I can't remember. Honey that pierced my heart and soul. He had multiple times, like he even said, he went back to the house, or when he was back in North Carolina with his wife, he could have made amends there, but yet he decided to continue to talk to her through text messages and what's it called? I'm drawing a blank. FaceTime and stuff like that. So he had all this time. So now he's blaming Jezebel, Nicole Kessinger, and stating that God has forgiven him, so he should be able to be released. And with his newfound faith, bring everyone together. Or he tells his parents, I don't want to be thought as the man that murdered his family, that my life was fantastic, but in one moment of time, I did this horrible act, but I don't want it to define me. You murdered 4 people, my dude. I don't know how you're going to come back from this.
And thus, the narcissist, in attempting to manipulate the former intimate partner primary source and perhaps get back into a relationship with them because they are now painted white, smears the affair partner. Once again, the narcissist takes no responsibility for their actions. It's always somebody else's fault. They left their wife for any number of reasons, which they would regularly whine about, to their affair partner. Then it's gone wrong with the affair partner, as it always would do, causing them then to complain to the former intimate partner primary source, oh, I was taken away from you. I was coerced, coaxed by this Jezebel that poured honeyed words in my ear. And we see exactly that kind of behaviour with Chris Watts. Whilst he's not saying these words to his wife, of course he can't, she's dead. What he's doing is blame shifting and seeking to assert control by blaming somebody else for his actions. Only one person killed his wife and children, Chris Watts. Nobody else did it. Nobody else encouraged him to do so. But his narcissism tells him that it's not his fault, and it causes him to believe that it was actually Nicole Kessinger that caused him to behave that way.
And that's why I really want the investigators to investigate Nicole to find out if she's innocent or guilty. Like I said before, we don't even know if she's guilty or innocent. They never even tried. But with all that evidence in front of them, they're like, it's like pretty much putting all these cookie or chocolate chip cookies in front of your face, and somebody goes, those aren't chocolate chip cookies. That looks like one Oreo. Like, it's completely different.
He blames her. The article continues by explaining that Watts shared most of his thoughts with Dylan Tolman, a fellow prisoner at the Wisconsin lockup who befriended Watts. Tolman was in the cell next to Watts, and the two men became close. Thus, the narcissist in prison has a non-intimate secondary source individual in his fuel matrix. We started talking, Tolman says. We had a lot of very long conversations, spiritual conversations. Tallman was in prison for possession of narcotics when he met Watts. Although he has served his sentence, he's now serving 4 months for driving on a suspended license, which was a probation violation.
Like, come on, dude.
They began studying the Bible together. Again, with Watts, the holy narcissist, watch my videos about that, with Watts even calling Tallman his spiritual twin, flattery, assertion of control through benign manipulation. They studied the scriptures together and talked daily, often encouraging each other about the hardships of life behind bars.
That he caused.
One of the letters that Watts wrote stated as follows: Dear Heavenly Father, I have backslidden. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock and have fallen into a pit.
That he caused.
The snare of the enemy has entrapped me. The words of a harlot has brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Little did I know, all her guests were in the chamber of death. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. How did I not see it? How did I let this happen? The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and still I followed the perfume of a strange woman. The web of the enemy squeezes around my heart, and is corroding my soul to the point of suffocation. The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. But oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness, and for his wonderful works to the children of men. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. You heard the prayer of the destitute and of the prisoner, appointed to death. You opened my eyes, you made my ears ready to perceive, and you said, Come forth. The web of death loosened its grip, and I walked into the light of your presence. As I humbly kneeled before you, you said, Go and sin no more, your faith has made you whole. In that letter, he, of course, is demonstrating his magical thinking in relation to God. He doesn't truly believe. His narcissism sees it as a route to justify certain behaviors and how he can be saved, because after all, it wasn't his actual fault, but somebody should save him nevertheless, which exhibits his sense of entitlement. Furthermore, as already mentioned, it exhibits the way that he blames Nicole Kessinger, suggesting that she has led him astray because, after all, Chris Watts isn't a bad man. Not at all. It's simply the case that he has been led astray by a Jezebel. The typical blame-shifting, lack of accountability of a narcissist, and the disclosure of this letter and others of a similar ilk once again demonstrate the nature of Chris Watts and provide an opportunity to explain to you the way that the narcissist behaves. Even though he entered guilty pleas, they weren't actual admissions of guilt, because he doesn't really think that he's
That's how he thinks he's going to get out, is because he was actually not proven to be guilty.
done anything wrong. Somebody else caused him to do it. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.
So again, in certain parts in this letter, on March 4th, 2020, the heavenly... So I see a 4 at the top, so I'm guessing it's not the only one he's done. I have black slidden. Again, you probably heard this before, but I want to go over it one more time, because I don't want to keep making a video on this letter, because we did it, it's done, it's over with. I have black slidden. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock, and I have fallen into a pit. The snare of the enemy has entrapped me. The words of a harlot, NK, has brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul. Little did I know all her guests were in the chamber of death. Who are the guests? Can you guys tell me who the guests are? The last of, or the, is that the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. How did I not see it? How did I let this happen? You thought with the wrong head. It's pretty much what happened. Where did I go? The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and still I followed the perfume of a strange woman. The web of enemies squeezes around my heart and is cocooning my soul to the point of suffocation. I hope you suffocate. The enemy and his Jezebel, the enemy being evil, and his goddess. I can't really, man, I need glasses. And for his wonderful works to the children of men. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. Okay, you just haven't been judged yet. You hear my prayer of the destitute, and of the prisoner appointed to death. You open my eyes, you made my ears ready to perceive, and you say, Come forth. The web of death loosens its grip, and walked into the light of your presence. As I humbly kneel before you, you said, Go on, sin no more. Your faith has made you whole. In Jesus' precious name, amen. So, it just makes me really sickened that he found Jesus afterwards. Again, I can't judge a person when it comes to their religious background or future endeavors, but he acts like no one did it but somebody else. I think he took the blame because the detectives were good and got in where they needed to and make him talk. I'm surprised he never required an attorney. Or even Nicole for that matter. I don't even know why she didn't. I thought they would have lawyered up big time, but they didn't. I'm trying to find the words of confusion because the continuation of people on the force or detectives have not even tried to begin with because they call that it possibly might not be needed. It's probably not election time. Election time's in November. Wouldn't it be a big, huge explosion of content or news if DA Rourke decided to now, in his time of running for district attorney again to be voted in, that he brings forth Nicole Kessinger and actually investigates her, finds out that she's guilty, and then he's the hero again, and then he should be reinstated as DA Rourke? That's something that's definitely of a thought that could possibly happen. We never know. So within the next August, September, October, November, let's see what actually happens. If that happens, I'm going to freak out. So with that being said, guys, comment down below your guys' thoughts on this. I'm not going to look into this Jezebel letter anymore unless something else comes, like a second page or a part 2 of this letter. Who knows? I thank you guys for your time. Again, I'd love to hear you guys' comments below and your opinions on this page or letter that we have seen. Don't forget to hit the like button for the obvious reasons that we'll hopefully one day see satisfaction in the full justice. And don't forget to subscribe on both channels. Links are in the description for mine and HD Tutor. We'll see you guys next time. Keep it real, keep it safe. And as always, keep nerding on. And we'll see you guys next time.